I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zender, and here's what's coming up right now on Almanac North.
10 inches of snow in May. It was the largest amount of snow in Duluth since records have been kept, and it had us wondering what the rest of spring will bring to the region.
It's National Travel and Tourism Week. This is a good time to talk about a big summer of events planned for the Twin Ports and the economic impact of tourists here.
And 500,000 anglers are expected for the opening of the Minnesota fishing season this weekend.
These stories and the business news next on Almanac North. Well, hello again and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. And Julie, I don't believe anyone thought whether we'd be shoveling snow in May.
Well, I don't know about you, but I didn't shovel it.
I didn't either.
I'm letting May take care of it.
I pack snow in the month of April and May. I try to pack snow.
That's the way to do it.
You got it. And the weather is how we start the show this week too, Julie.
All right. Thank you, Denny, and welcome everyone. Most of us were in a state of denial this week over the prediction of a May snowstorm, but heavy, wet snow coated a good portion of the higher elevations around Lake Superior this week. In fact, snow totals at Duluth International Airport broke several records. Here to tell us more is Dan Miller, the Science and Operations Officer at the National Weather Service in Duluth. And thanks for being here, Dan.
Sure, Julie. Nice to be back.
This really was an unusual amount of snow. For this time of year.
You know, I think everybody was kind of ready to be done with winter after Mother Nature decided to flip a switch on us about January 15th, and the next 7 weeks were pretty miserable up here. And we did avoid the spring flooding bullet this spring, right. and actually we were set up for a potentially pretty big spring flood event this year. But then, you know, this happens and everybody's just kind of like, well, here we go again.
I call this snow a doozy. Do we normally get snow in May?
Well, it's not uncommon to get snow in April and May here. Mm-hmm. What is unusual is to get that much snow in that short of a period of time with, I mean, that was really, you know. It
was coming down.
Yeah, I mean, we were approaching 2 inches an hour of snowfall rates up on top of the hill. And I mean, that, you know, the atmosphere, it's hard for the atmosphere to do that anywhere, yes. Let alone, you know, even up in the mountains sometimes that's kind of hard to do. So.
Can you put it into a little bit of historic context for us?
Yeah, and you know, that's one of the big points of discussion that we've had around the office and on social media and a lot of other places, you know, the last couple of days. While not common, this is certainly not unprecedented. Some people might remember now in Duluth it hasn't happened, Duluth proper recently, but in May of 2013, we had that big snowstorm that tracked from Omaha up across Iowa, southeast Minnesota, and then into northwestern Wisconsin, where snowfall totals across parts of northwestern Wisconsin were 15 to 18 inches. That was, you know, 6 years ago.
Wow.
And then if we rewind the clock a little bit farther back, we also had a pretty big snowstorm over in northwestern Wisconsin in May of 2006, which wasn't quite as big as the 2013 storm. And then our previous record was 5.5 inches way back on May 10th of 1902 here in Duluth.
Sure.
So this really is a 100-year storm, or do you think that we can expect more events like this as we move forward?
You know, there's one other event that wasn't quite as big as this one, and I'd forgotten about this until a friend of mine in Grand Rapids reminded me about it. There was also a 5 to 8 inch snowstorm that tracked just west of here back in May of 2010. And so, you know, I would say somewhere in the area, maybe not right here in Duluth, but somewhere in northeast Minnesota, northwest Wisconsin, this happens in late April or early May, you know, probably every 5 to 10 years. Now, 2 inches of snow per hour, 12 inches storm total, that's probably more of a 50, 100-year type of thing. But
Dan, every once in a while somebody will say to me that Duluth has had snow every single month of the year except August. Is there any truth to that?
you know, I don't have those records right in front of me. I know we have not had it in August, and I don't think we've had it in July.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a caveat, and there's probably some people watching the show who are going to go online because a lot of that data is online now, and they're going to go to July and August, and they're going to see trace amounts. The one catch with that in the weather records, when we get hail with thunderstorms in the summer, that actually gets coded as a trace of snow, believe it or not. Yeah, there's not a separate category for hail. So you got to do a little bit of investigative work. If you got a trace of snow on August 15th, but the low temperature was 50, for instance, probably not snow. It's probably hail from a thunderstorm.
Oh, my.
The snow that we had this week, it was big flakes. It was wet, heavy. How do you measure snow depth when it's piling on top of each other and squishing itself down at the same time?
You know, measuring snow is a artful science, I guess is maybe a good way to put it. We have a snowboard at the office, which is it's probably about 18 inches by a foot, and it's white, so you know, solar radiation doesn't hit like black asphalt and melt it as easily. And we go out and we measure every 6 hours and then clear the board and then start measuring again. So you clear the snowboard every 6 hours. You know, that doesn't account for some melting is still going to occur, especially on events like we just had. The heavy wet snow compacts. You know, the more of it, the more it will compact down just because it weighs so much. The converse is true sometimes, though, in December and January. If you get a big snowstorm where you get a lot of wind with it, sometimes it'll blow it off the board. And so there's always a little bit of a source of error with snow measurements. But we've tried over the last century or so with a lot of scientific iterations across people who specialize in this stuff to kind of standardize it, and we do the best we can. But yeah, I mean, I think that they're probably, the snow came down so hard between 6 p.m. and midnight. I mean, there was probably some level of compaction and a little bit of melting that happened.
10 inches didn't take long to melt, though, did it?
No.
Well, that sun is bright at this time of year.
Yeah, and you know, we had the wind and temperatures in the 40s yesterday, and I tell you, I haven't seen 10, 11 inches of snow melt quite this fast, I don't think, ever, maybe.
Would this have been a fairly significant rainfall if the weather had been just a little bit warmer?
I mean, not to the magnitude of like some of the flash, like the 2012 flash flood, but I think we got about like I didn't look that up actually, but 1.3, 1.4 inches of liquid equivalent. So I mean, it's like a good hard rainstorm lasting for a whole day.
Has any kind of a forecast been set out for June, July, and August?
Well, you know, seasonal forecasting is
pretty risky.
We have a hard enough time sometimes telling what it's going to do 5 or 10 days from now, let alone 3 or 4 months. But you know, right now, what they're kind of banking on is a ridge of high pressure over the western part of North America, western U.S., western Canada, which would kind of put us in a sort of a cool, maybe coolish pattern in the early part of the summer. But, you know, this winter is going to average out to be about normal, but that doesn't account for the fact that December and January were much warmer than normal, and then the last part of January and
February. Which begs the question then, does winter weather play any role in what we can expect in the summer?
I think it does to some degree, and I think summer weather actually can play a little bit with winter too, because you know, we're going to have it plays a role in how rapidly the vegetation greens up, which then transpires moisture into the atmosphere, and all those things matter with things like thunderstorms and instability in the summer for weather like that. That's a whole nother show.
That's
probably
another show.
Yeah.
I understand you're going to become the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service in Duluth next month.
I'm going to become the acting meteorologist in charge. My boss, Mike Stewart, who has been the meteorologist in charge at my office since, I believe, November of 1998. I hope I got that right, Mike, if you're watching. I apologize if I got it wrong, but yeah, so after 21 years here, he's retiring. We also had another staff change, Carol Christensen.
Carol left, yeah.
Our longtime warning coordination meteorologist. She retired last week at the end of April. So we've got a lot of staffing changes going on. So there'll be some new hires and some new people coming in over.
And I imagine from a weather geek standpoint, Duluth is pretty interesting.
It is. I've worked in Oklahoma, I worked in Colorado, and I worked in the Twin Cities. I'm from southern Oklahoma, or from southern Minnesota originally, and I lived in Washington State for a while. And honestly, of all those places, this is probably the most scientifically fascinating and also the most challenging, just because not only is the weather challenging at this latitude in the middle of a continent, but you got some terrain and you've got the lake next door. And
We're getting the wrap.
Yeah.
If we get 10 more inches this month, I think you'll be on sooner than
All right,
not.
Dan, thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Good luck
Thanks,
in your
Dan.
new position.
Well, when you have a really tough winter like that, people are excited. You know, I was up north yesterday and just talking to a marine dealer about people wanting to get their boats out. You know, sometimes it hadn't been till they were pushing Memorial Day. Now it seems like they're pointing more towards that opener. You know, fishing has over a $4 billion economic impact for the state. It's huge, and people want to enjoy it, and it supports a great deal of jobs. And we really just have a tradition in the state about people wanting to get out and fish. The opener can be a real celebration for folks. The northeast part of the state, our walleye spawning runs that are up there are wrapping up, so things are looking good up there. A lot depends on the weather from now until the opener, but we do expect really good walleye populations, and the northern pike should be going strong at that point.
Well, despite the snow we've been talking about, the opening of the Wisconsin fishing season last weekend, and of course the Minnesota fishing season this weekend, is the start to the warm weather tourist season. Travelers spend billions of dollars each year in Minnesota and Wisconsin, making tourism a vital part of each state's economy. Here in the Twin Ports, travel bureaus on both sides of the border work hard to bring more visitors to the head of the Lake Superior, and we have, of course, Duluth and Superior, both big travel destination towns. Here to tell us more is Nikky, the Director of Marketing and Social Media for Travel Superior, and Maarja Hewitt is Media Communication Director with Visit Duluth. Ladies, thanks to both of you for being here. So, in a nutshell, how big a tourist town is this? I'm counting both Superior and Duluth.
Let's do some math here.
Right? it's a big tourism driver. Tourism is a huge economic driver, both in Minnesota and in Wisconsin.
I'd say for Duluth, our annual numbers, we have 6.7 million visitors a year, and that's about a $950 million economic impact.
Almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
Does that include Superior? Or
that's just Duluth.
Just Duluth.
That's just Duluth.
Yeah.
Superior, there's a $11.4 million impact just
I
on our
think
side
we
of the
had some
bridge.
statistics
Yes.
from a recent study.
Absolutely. We just put our numbers out this year. We had over $103 million visitor spending just in the Douglas County, 9% or 9.57% increase over last year.
That's big.
That's huge. It's wonderful to see. And over $149 million spent in just our businesses. That's a huge economic impact.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
What's driving all these people to the region? Is it all about the lake, or is it the bricks and mortar kind of attractions that we have? What's bringing people here primarily?
I think the lake is huge. I mean, in more than one sense, in terms of a reason and its size. I think the lake is a huge driver, but I think the people that live here have created a life around the lake that also draws people in. Talking about like our breweries, our beer comes from Lake Superior water, and there's a sector of tourists who are interested in traveling to different places simply to try the beer. So I think the lake is huge, but we also have some awesome establishments to visit and great attractions, and just the life that kind of surrounds the lake, I think interests a lot of people.
One can't help but notice that the hotel industry keeps expanding. New hotels are being built, it seems, all the time here. Is there still a need for some additional rooms?
Absolutely. You can never have enough rooms, especially on either side of the bridge. On big weekends like Grandma's Marathon, Tall Ships, we're full, Duluth's full. It's hard to find rooms. So having more hotels would be fantastic.
Yeah.
What kind of an impact are the vacation rentals like Airbnb having on that market? Are they cutting into the hotels, or is there enough of a pie for everybody to get a piece of it?
I think the more people travel, you mentioned it's National Travel and Tourism Week, and U.S. Travel Association, the statistic jumped out at me. 72% of Americans would rather spend money on experiences than things. So people are really looking for experiences, which obviously travel is one of those things. And the more people travel, I think they kind of get into different niches. And so there certainly are always going to be those people that want to stay in hotels. They want that kind of lodging opportunity. But a lot of younger folks or people with big families, they're maybe looking for a different kind of lodging opportunity, like a house to rent or things like that. So I think it's just kind of expanding. Also with different types of properties, Duluth has seen some unique ones recently. We have a hostel now. So that's kind of a different niche that we're tapping into. Hotel Piku just opened up in Lincoln Park recently, and it's a little boutique hotel. And then True by Hilton is opening up, and that's kind of gearing towards the younger traveler up on the hill.
Nikki, how do Superior and Duluth complement each other?
Well, Duluth has a lot of the big attractions, the Canal Park area, the brewing district, the restaurants, the art district. We have a lot that complements that in Superior, but we are like an outdoor recreation destination in our county. So we have, 2 beautiful state parks just within 20 minutes ride. We have 300 miles of ATV trails. There's just so much to do outdoors in our county that just a few minutes from Duluth and Superior, you can go and just have a fantastic time.
So Superior then is also a destination city.
Right. If you don't want to have the big tourist area to go see the big ships, you can go to Wisconsin Point. If you want to come and have a different flavor of beer, you can come to Earth Rider Brewery. If you want to come and have the best pizza, I'd say, in town, come to Shamrock Pizza. So, there are so much things that we have that complement Duluth. Absolutely.
We're the Twin Ports, so,
Absolutely.
We share the love, and obviously the people that live here too, they cross that border all the time, so our visitors are going to do that too.
When one is doing well, both are doing well, and we definitely believe that we complement each other and we should work together.
Now, travelers of all ages are walking around with smartphones in their hands, social media, apps of all kinds. How much pressure does that put on the two of you to really stay on top of that technology and to communicate with people in new and creative ways that they can reach you instantly, or you can reach them instantly?
It's pressure, but it's really fun because it forces you to get creative. Because people they kind of book their trips based on what they see online. Instagram is huge for that. They see something beautiful and they're like, "Ooh, I want to go there." And Lake Superior is kind of great for that because people are fascinated by it. But you do have to kind of keep that content. You have to be on top of it. You could really have someone dedicated to doing that all the time. Especially with all the things that are going on all the time, all the events, all the fun specials or different things going on. It could be a lot.
And over in your area, the ice caves, I think, were probably an example of how that was just a social media phenomenon that drew people from all over the place coming.
Well, right. When you've got something phenomenal like Lake Superior, it makes your job really fun and easy. Just finding those photos is one of the best parts of my job, is helping figure out where do we get, and it's just a wealth of information out there. So it's awesome. It's fun.
And Maarja, I see that you're using some of your TV skills too.
Yes.
What is it? The Find It in Duluth videos?
Yeah, this week with Maarja. Find It in Duluth. It's all about our marketing tagline is Find It in Duluth. So you know, whatever you may find in Duluth, we hope you find it.
Yeah.
And so every week I compile the fun events that you can find in Duluth, and I make a little video. Kind of going back to my college days of editing and shooting.
So what are the big festivals coming to town this summer?
Oh my.
Well, Superior has upcoming the Dragon Boat Festival. That's always
right.
very huge for us. We've also got Lake Superior Ice Festival coming up again in the winter, but that's a little bit away, but doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, and we're just starting to ramp up, especially down in Bayfront. Bayfront is, you know, always busy every summer, but Grandma's will kind of kick things off here soon.
Tall Ships again?
Tall Ships Festival of Sail is right after Blues Fest. So
Air Show?
What?
Air Show?
Air Show is back, yes. Reggae Fest, City on the Hill Music Fest, the Tribute Fest, Taste of Duluth, Fourth Fest.
Nothing
of course.
going on.
No, not at all.
Trying to cycle through, right?
There's never something to find to do in Superior and Duluth. But no, just
And do you find that a lot of tourists just kind of stumble upon these events, or are people making this a destination because of them?
I think you find a really good mix. There are a lot of people that show up thinking, what is there to do? What can we do? But there are a lot that do come here that are like, we're here for dragon boats.
Yeah.
We want to come and experience Superior. So that's wonderful to see.
Do either of your organizations measure the length of time tourists would stay here? Is this a 3-day vacation for folks, 4-day, an entire week? Do you know how much time is spent here?
I think the average stay for Duluth, according to our latest study, is 2.3 nights.
Okay.
I think we're roughly the same.
So they're staying here a few nights and
And spending millions.
right,
And
and
spending
spending
millions.
money
Yeah.
and having lots of fun.
How much support do you get from statewide organizations like Visit Wisconsin or Explore Minnesota? Do they work pretty closely with your organizations to make sure that they have up-to-date information?
Yes, we work very closely with Travel Wisconsin. Actually, the Deputy Secretary of Tourism, Ann Sayers, was here on Thursday taking a tour of Superior and Douglas County. And that was wonderful because it was blanketed with snow, so she got to see almost all seasons in one day, so it was wonderful. It just kind of showcased that we are an all-season destination.
That's something to promote.
Absolutely.
All seasons in one day.
Experience it all.
Hey, there you go.
No, it seems sometimes like people who live in the Twin Ports have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with tourism. Either of you want to make the case of why it should be just an all-in embrace?
Well, tourism in Douglas County supports over 1,300 jobs. So this is an industry that is building a tax base in our county. So these people are spending money here, and they are spending money for the people that live here. So I think that is one thing that we should keep top of mind.
Yep. Yeah, and that's same in Duluth. It's 17,000 jobs. It's our third industry in Duluth. So
Really?
I'd say most people know someone in the tourism industry. We actually just created the Zenith Spirit Award, and that acknowledges these people in the industry. And I think they make
There you go.
Duluth go round.
Right.
Nikky, Maarja, thank you so very much for being on the program.
Thank you
having
so
Thanks
much.
for being here again.
Thank you. It's time now for the business news from the editors at Business North. Ascena Retail Group has completed the sale of Duluth-based Maurice's to an affiliate of Op Capita LLP. The transaction is valued at approximately $300 million. Ascena received about $210 million in cash before expenses and a 49% interest in the Op Capita affiliate that is now the owner of Maurice's. Ascena will continue to support Maurice's on its shared business services platform. That agreement includes support for IT, supply chain, sourcing, and some back office functions.
Rice Lake, Minnesota's newest city, is poised to expand its commercial sector in a big way. Rice Lake, of course, is located on the northern border of Duluth along the busy Rice Lake Road corridor, also known as Highway 4. The city's commercial heart is at the intersection of Rice Lake and Martin Roads. The corner is anchored by the Sunset Lounge and more recently a Quick Trip convenience store and Great Lakes Stone Supply. It's been known as a bedroom community, but Mayor John Warner wants to increase light industrial and apartment development to ease the tax burden on households.
As we mentioned earlier in the show, Minnesota kicks off the 2019 fishing season this Saturday. An estimated 500,000 anglers will head to their favorite fishing waters, one of the biggest opening weekends in the United States. The annual Governor's Fishing Opener will be held on Fountain Lake near Albert Lee, Minnesota. Explore Minnesota touts the opener as the official kickoff of the summer tourism season. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
Now, if you have a comment on the show, call now. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message, or send an email to almanacnorth@wdsc.org, and check out the WDSC website for more about the station, the latest program schedule, and the latest events planned by the station. And Julie, the big question, are you going to be joining the 500,000 folks out fishing tomorrow?
I'm not sure. The dock is in, the pontoon's in, but I don't know if I'll be out.
Ooh, you're quicker than we are. We have a lot of work to do tomorrow. For Julie and the crew at Almanac North, I'm Dennis Anderson. Good luck on the water. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody, and be kind.